Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast. My name is Mark Sennett. I'm the CEO of Western Business Media, which is the publisher of Health and Safety Matters magazine. I'd like to thank our sponsors who, as ever, are the Health and Safety event. And if you'd like to attend the Health and Safety event, registration is actually now open. It takes place on the 5th to 7th of April 2022 at the NEC in Birmingham. And actually, it's co-located with the new workplace event. It's also co-located with the fire safety event, the security event as well. So this is a must-attend exhibition. There's hundreds of hours of CPD content across all of them. And actually HSM is a proud partner. We actually put on the content for the knowledge exchange at the Health and Safety event. So there's huge amount of exhibitors and content on, as I said. It's a not to be missed event. Perfect place for networking, education, and it is the latest products and services in the market. So if you'd like to register for your free pass, and one registration will get you access to all of those events, it's all in the same area of the NEC on the 5th to 7th of April 2022, all you need to do is go to www.healthandsafetyevent.com. That is www.healthandsafetyevent.com. So I know a lot of you obviously listen to this podcast for a bite-sized chunk of the news, etc., of what's going on, but you don't have to wait for this podcast. You can go to our website, the HSM website, which is www.hsmsearch.com. So that's hsmsearch.com, and you can see all the latest news, prosecutions, products and services in there. You can also see our back archive of CPD accredited webinars in there. You could watch our digital conference, Health and Safety Matters Live, for free on there. All of this is going to be free. You can sign up to our twice a week e-newsletter, and you can also sign up to get a copy of the magazine as well for free. So again, all of this you can do at hsmsearch.com. So the other thing I want to quickly say before we get into the news is we have, as you should know by now, opened up entries for the Safety and Health Excellence Awards. I think I've said this before on this podcast. It's actually my favourite thing that we do. It's a great opportunity for you to, for free, submit an entry for yourself, a colleague, a team, a project, product, service. It could be a supplier, anyone you work with that really has raised the bar for health and safety standards. It's the perfect way to get recognition from your industry peers, and it only takes a few minutes to do it. It really takes no time at all to enter, and it's a great way to recognise what you do. And it is, as I said many times before, an essential job that health and safety practitioners do. So you can enter the awards for free. Look at all the categories. You just go to she-awards.com. That's she-awards.com, or just Google Safety and Health Excellence Awards, and we've got so many great categories like Best Health and Safety in Construction, Best Health and Safety in Manufacturing, Best Health and Safety Project, Health and Safety Manager of the Year, Campaign of the Year, Team of the Year. And we've also got a great new category, which is Woman of the Year. And on top of that, we've got the Safer Logistics Awards and the Rising Star Award. So please do consider enter. It's free to do so. It's a couple of minutes. Just go to she-awards.com. Okay, right. Well, let's get straight into the news before we get into our special guest this week. So an interesting campaign has been launched by the Health and Safety Executive, something that we obviously work very closely, and you can listen to our back archive of webinars, the HSE, over on our website. So the HSE has launched the Working Minds campaign. So work-related stress and poor mental health risk are becoming a health and safety crisis for Great Britain's workplaces, the HSE has warned. So while the full impact of COVID-19 pandemic is yet to be fully understood, mental health issues are the number one reason given for sick days in the UK. Last year, more than 17 million working days were lost as a result of stress, anxiety or depression. And this has all come from a recent survey by the charity Mind. And they've actually suggested in the survey that 2 in 5 employees' mental health had worsened during the pandemic. Pretty sure we can all understand why that would be. This pandemic has been dreadful on so many levels. There's obviously the emotional and human level of the fact that people have been sick or lost their lives, which is truly tragic. But there's been such a knock-on effect of stress, and I know as an employer myself, it's one of the biggest things that we were concerned about for our own staff's mental health, of when we've had to have lockdowns and had them isolated, when they've been working from home, and we've always tried to check in, and I'm not surprised by this at all, those statistics. But in response to these figures, HSE said that it's launched a campaign, and it's launched it actually on the 16th of November, and it's called the Working Minds campaign. And what this is about is it aims to help businesses recognise the signs of work-related stress and make tackling the issues more routine. So while Working Minds is specifically targeting 6 million workers in small businesses, the HSE is calling for a culture train across Britain's workplaces to ensure psychological risks are being treated the same as physical ones in a health and safety risk management. So, commenting on this, HSE Chief Executive Sir Albin said, work-related stress and poor mental health should be treated with the same significance as risks of poor physical health and injury. In terms of the effect it has on workers, significant and long-term stress can limit performance and impact personal lives. No worker should suffer in silence, and if we don't act now to improve workers' mental health, this could evolve into a health and safety crisis. Pretty strong words by Sarah there, and something I completely agree with. I'm sure many of you will too. So Working Minds is aimed specifically at supporting small businesses, as I said, by providing employers and workers with easy to implement advice, including simple steps in its 5 R's, which stands for reach out, recognise, respond, reflect, and make it routine. So, sounds like a fantastic campaign, one that I'm certainly looking into myself, actually, reading through it. And if you want more information about this, please do go to the website, which is workright, that's workright.campaign.gov.uk/campaigns/Working Minds. And listen, if you can't remember that, then go to the HSM website, which is hsmsearch.com, and in the search box, just type Working Minds and you will find this news story there. So yeah, it seems like a really sensible campaign and something that I take very seriously, because mental health is, as we've said here in there, the single biggest cause for days lost. But it's more than that. It's more than that. It's about people's health. It's about their productivity. It's about their well-being. And, as employers or as responsible people like you are, as safe and health practitioners, we want to make sure that our staff, colleagues, etc. are properly looked after. And it's not just about physical injuries. So that's the first news story. And, moving on to the second one, it's the time of year where I talk about statistics. So, new research has revealed that the global fatality rate of economic activities worldwide has been released here by Arnite, and they've analysed that the reported average workplace fatality rate per 100,000 workers across the globe to reveal the most dangerous countries and industries. So, as you can see, that it's quite broad. But if I go into a little bit of detail here, fishing had the highest average fatality rate with basically 16% per 100,000 workers. And out of the economic activities included in the research, that was the highest. So it was the most dangerous in terms of countries now, in Canada, with a fatality rate of 27%, well, roughly 27%, it's 27.32 if I'm precise. The safety threats of fishing include working, obviously, in unpredictable working conditions such as weather, open water, and working from great heights. Mining was the second most dangerous industry, and the average fatality rate was 14.09%, and agriculture followed with 11.26% workplace fatality rate. So those are the top three. Probably won't surprise you particularly. So, fishing, mining, and agriculture. So Arnite Managing Director Rob Winslow said, it's the responsibility of all business owners, no matter what industry you work in or the size of your company, to comply with the country's health and safety legislation. Failing to implement the required measures could put your employees' lives at risk. Even a low-risk job can become dangerous if you don't meet the basic health and safety requirements. So, the findings also found, and I'll talk about really geolocation here, if I'm honest. So, if we talk about what it found, it said that Bhutan in South Asia was the most dangerous country for workers, with an average fatality of 31.9 fatalities across all occupations, with Timor-Leste with a rate of 29.2 worker fatalities per 100,000. Nepal was 28.8 per 100,000. So, in comparison, Iceland, which has held the position as the most peaceful country since 2008, had 0 work fatalities, as did Malta, as did San Marino. The average UK fatality rate, and this is based on ILO data, was 0.83. So the research revealed that mining quarrying sector, as we said, one of the most dangerous across 21% of the countries. And in fact, that figure, mining and quarrying, was the most dangerous across the sector of these countries, which was Uzbekistan, Sweden and Spain. The fatality rate for this industry was highest in Egypt, with 75.24 per 100,000 workers. So there's a lot more detail to this that I could go on and on about. And it comes back to what we always say here. Everyone has a right to come home from work safe. But there isn't much I can add to this other than saying these statistics are interesting. It's something that, from our point of view as a nation, Great Britain here, the United Kingdom, yes, we're one of the better performing nations, absolutely. And our standards have really set standards across the world. But, I'm sure we can all look on enviously at places like Malta and San Marino and Iceland that have had zero workplace fatalities, and that is obviously the aim that we all have. So I'd urge you to have a quick look at this story online and just see how it compared to the rest of the world. Again, go to hsmsearch.com and just type workplace fatality rates in the search box and you will find it. So a couple more news stories I'd like to go over now. So ARCO has published recommendations on improving product safety. So last year, as the UK responded to the COVID-19 pandemic, substandard safety equipment began entering the market, which put at risk people's lives. And earlier in the summer, the government published its product safety review, which called for evidence, recommendations on how to strengthen outdated legislation to protect consumers from unsafe products, something that we've covered before on this podcast. So as its contribution to the debate, ARCO has said it's actually published a paper which is Towards a Safer Future, ARCO's Vision for a New Fit-for-Purpose Product Safety Framework. And this paper reflects on the lessons learned during the pandemic and shares expertise and recommendations for building a stronger product safety framework. So in this report, ARCO has identified a number of vulnerabilities and threats to consumer safety that have arisen as a result of the growth of the digital economy, the challenges posed by post-Brexit regulatory changes, and the continued reliance on a fragmented system of regulation, monitoring, compliance, and enforcement for product safety. So, with the recent experiences of the pandemic response fresh in mind, ARCO sees the creation of a new product safety framework as a critical requirement to ensuring the country is better prepared for future emergencies. And this, in their opinion, requires a full assessment of what is working and what is not. So in the paper, ARCO looks at the current challenges and makes a series of recommendations in 6 key areas. And I focus on harnessing innovation expertise within the UK safety sector, building a system that's easy to navigate but harder to circumvent, and developing product safety framework that's fit for the future. So these 6 areas they have suggested are a new framework for high-risk PPE, strengthening the paper trail documenting a product safety, the right regulatory bodies in the right place with the right resources, establishing an authoritative source of guidance, regulation for a digital economy, and building a safe space for innovation. So commenting on this, ARCO's chairman Thomas Martin said the creation of a new product safety framework is a task that we should see as lasting beyond this pandemic and necessitates a full assessment of what is working and what is not. There's an acute need to look at the structures that protect us from everyday risk, from substandard goods and unscrupulous businesses, and we believe it's important to continue our work on what lessons can be learned from this pandemic to ensure the country be better prepared for future emergencies. Our recommendations reflect the work of our experts, our experience as one of the UK's leading safety companies, and as a major importer of regulated goods, and as a supplier to the UK government and public sector. It reflects what we have said to the government, to Parliament, and to our colleagues across the sector. Together, we believe we can build a safer future. So if you want to read the report, go to arco.co.uk and it's /towards-a-safer-future-position-paper. But I'm sure if you go to arco.co.uk, you will find it. You will certainly find it on the HSM website, hsmsearch.com, and type in the search box, ARCO publishes recommendations on improving product safety. So, yeah, I mean, one of the things that I remember Alan Murray from the British Safety Industry Federation telling me was that, just scarily, as soon as the pandemic really became a thing back last year, I think 20,000 companies in China cropped up with the word mask in it. And that's truly terrifying. You know, we've seen very publicly inappropriate PPE that just isn't suitable coming into the country, and quite embarrassing so for the government in one circumstance that I can remember. But the fact is, we need to use compliant PPE. That's the only way we can protect our people, staff, friends, colleagues, etc. And I think that's something we can all agree on. It's a really good report that ARC have written. I'd urge you to read it. And please do take a look. So just finishing off before we go into our main guest for today, we had some good news ourselves, Health and Safety Matters, recently. As you will probably know, we, on behalf of the British Safety Industry Federation, we produce an annual guide called the BSIF Guide. It's actually just coming out now. It's available online. It'll be coming onto your desks very shortly if you haven't had it already. And it's the Guide to the UK Safety and Health Industry 2022. It's our biggest guide we've ever done. We've done it for a number of years for the BSIF in partnership with them. And it's a partnership we're very, very proud of. And we actually got nominated for an industry award for last year's guide, the 2021 guide, the PPA Independent Publisher Awards. It's pretty much the Oscars of us independent publisher sector, and I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted to say we actually won the award, and it was for Best Commercial Partnership related to a publication, and it is for our partnership with the BSIF. It's something that, we are very, very proud of our relationship with the BSIF. We work very, very closely with them, and it's an important way for us to expand our reach to safety professionals and push out their message. It's an absolute delight working with all of their staff. You may have seen the news story about this online. I'm thrilled that Alan Murray, who's the CEO of BSIF, shared some kind words, and he said, I'm delighted that the BSIF and HSM's partnership with the guide has been recognised by the PPA and the Publishers Awards. This annual magazine covers critical information vital to keeping people safe and healthy in their work, and the BSIF is extremely proud of our partnership with HSM and all their staff. Well, that means a lot to me personally. Alan was with us at the awards, and that made it even better. So I'd like to congratulate all the staff, all of my staff that work on HSM. But why is this important? Well, from my point of view, it reaffirms that we're trying to put out the best publication possible for all of you guys. It's actually recognition of the fantastic engagement we have from you as an audience. So really, I'm telling you this to thank you. Thank you for engaging with the magazine. Thank you for engaging with our webinars and our podcasts. And thank you to all of our clients who, without them as well, without the advertisers, and without you as readers, I don't have a business, and neither do my two business partners. So thank you to all of you. We've grown tremendously the reach of HSM this year, and it's a really, really important topic, obviously. And we couldn't have done that without the fantastic partners like BSIF, advertisers, and you, the listeners. And hopefully, it'll make you feel good that you've got an independently recognised publication for effectively Magazine of the Year there for as a one-off commercial partnership. So we're very proud of that award, and huge congratulations to all of our team, and thank you again to all of you. So, all right, well that covers the news for, well, I should say the year really, because it's the last podcast of the year, but certainly for this podcast. And if you want to see all the latest news, as I said, you can go to our website www.hsmsearch.com, and on there you can sign up to get the magazine for free, and the BSIF guide and the PPE Insights guide that we publish as well, all free. Sign up to get our twice a week e-newsletter. Look at all the latest news, prosecutions and services, and feature articles on there. And do listen to our back archive of webinars, or sign up to upcoming webinars and listen back to our digital conference, HSM Live. So that is, once again, hsmsearch.com for everything that you will need. Okay, so we've got one guest this week, and it's quite a strange one for me because I used to work for this gentleman. My guest this week is the founder of What Else Events, Tim Else. Tim, for years, was part of this business when it was known as Western Business Exhibitions, and was my boss. He brought me to the company, and he ran the business alongside Neil Weston. And now Tim has moved on, branching out into launch an event in the sector, and it's coming up. And I sat down with him to go over what actually has got him to do this. What's his plans, what's his aims, and he's launched the brand Safety, Health and Wellbeing Live, which takes place next year in Manchester Central and also at Farnborough International. He's reinventing the regional exhibition model. So yeah, a bit surreal for me interviewing my ex-boss, but we cover a multitude of things. So I sat down with Tim earlier today, and here's what he had to say. Well, Tim, this is a pleasure for me because obviously, you are now the founder and managing director of What Else Events. And of course, as part of that business, you've launched Safety and Health and Wellbeing Live, which has events next year in Manchester and Farnborough. But of course, for me, this is somewhat surreal because for many years, I worked for you at this business before I did a management buyout for Western Business Media. But, you're back in the events game, and I would imagine you're pretty excited to be back.
Absolutely right. And yes, I suppose I would reciprocate by saying what a pleasure it is to be on the HSM podcast, Mark, something that never existed in the 18 years when I was publishing Health and Safety Matters, and testament to you and to your colleagues for bringing Western business publishing up to date and modernising 7 fantastic magazines, the HSM podcast being just one great example of how you've done that. So yeah, pleasure to speak to the audience that I used to have, and very much look forward to the chat.
Well, I think that's really what we want to talk about today, isn't it? You know the health and safety sector inside out from your experience in events, and obviously where Health and Safety Matters running this business for many, many years. And, for us, we've got a proud association with many events across many verticals, as you know, and as a publisher, we support many events, and we are a media partner for Safety, Health and Wellbeing Live. So could you tell us when your first event is, where it is? I've given a hint to it, and just tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm doing with What Else Events in 2022 is reconnecting regional occupational safety and health audiences with the preeminent premier providers, manufacturers and suppliers. That's something that hasn't been available for the last 2-3 years. And it's something that I've done very well in the past. This time around, there are improvements, I like to think, having run regional trade shows for this sector for some, 14, 15 years. I think there was a lot of room for improvement, and I've thought very carefully about that. And so in the first instance, there are 2 regional shows. We take SHW Live to Manchester Central on the 15th, 16th of February next year. And then we bring the show to a London and South Coast audience at Farnborough International on the 28th and 29th of September.
And obviously what I want to talk to you about is more about what visitors can expect, because the listeners to this podcast could both potentially exhibit, but could equally, and probably more likely so, actually be your target audience for potential visitors. So if I'm a health and safety manager, for example, why should I take time out of my day to go to Manchester Central on the 15th and 16th of February 2022, for example? Why should they come to the Manchester version of SHW Live?
Okay, well, I think inadvertently you've hit the nail on the head there. The issue here is one of time. There's never been, in my experience, never met a more pressured, under pressure community than the occupational safety and health practitioner. It's a difficult job to do. It is, by the way, I'm reassured, a very rewarding job to do, and it can be. But my reason for creating the shows, well, there are a number of reasons, but I think I've come to realize and come to understand that this particular audience is under huge time pressure. This audience needs continuous professional development. It needs access to great quality insight. It needs access to education. And, like so many other sectors, but I don't think it's any more important in other sectors, that you are able to move the dial and able to continually improve standards. We have very high standards historically of occupational safety and health, but the truth is that during the pandemic, and this was to a certain extent since the Conservative government came in 2010, we saw big cuts to the HSE's budget. And I think most people would agree with me who are on the inside of this, that the slight slippage in our fantastic standards of occupational safety and health are in part attributable to that. So we've seen a few more injuries at work. We've seen more ill health attributable to poor working practices. So having run these shows or similar shows to these in the past, I know just how important they are because this audience finds it difficult to travel. They find it very difficult to get the budget they need for external training and that type of continuous professional development. And that is what these events provide. So the HSM reader, whatever sector you work in, whether you're working in manufacturing, construction, transport, whether you're working in the public sector, whether you're working in utilities, if you're an HSM reader, you can come to Safety, Health and Wellbeing Live within 60 to 90 minutes of where you live and work, and it's completely free of charge. You're going to get access to 2 days of the highest quality conferencing, completely free of charge. You'll get to engage with the health and safety executive directly. Senior directors at HSE are delivering a conference on the 15th of February, led and started and opened by the current chair, Baroness Sarah Newton. That is the type of content you are not going to find anywhere else in 2022, and I'm very fortunate that SHW Live is working in collaboration with HSE. As an HSM reader, you're also going to get to meet some of the very best manufacturers and suppliers of everything from PPE to respiratory protective equipment, fall prevention. You're going to meet some of the best training organizations, NEBOSH learning partners, and you're going to be able to solve or go a long way towards solving many of the pain points and difficulties and challenges that you have in frontline safety and occupational health. But it's a bit more than that this time too, Mark. I've looked at, over those 15 years, a changing demographic, a continually shifting set of responsibilities, and the big change that's come, I suppose, really gradually over 7 or 8 years, but really come sharply into focus in the last 3 to 5, is this extension of those responsibilities to include taking a lead role on mental health and well-being in the workplace. And that's no easy task. That is a big step. And the research I've done, the partners that I have on this show tell me that there's a fairly even split amongst occupational safety and health practitioners. Half of them are really getting to grips with making a significant contribution to improving mental health in their workplace, to improving standards of well-being. But perhaps half of them are really need to do that. Their employer expects them to, and it's not easy. So a visit to SHW Live, taking a day or two out of your busy schedule, will help you move down that road, whether you're looking to do it better, whether you're looking to be inspired to go further, or whether you're looking for really straightforward advice on where to start. We've devised our conference program to help you, and we have brought together a list of partners, advisors, and exhibitors who are very capable and very able to help you on that journey.
Well, I mean, when we look at the reasons to attend, like you've just said, there is networking with your peers, as you said, a great list of exhibitors, which we'll touch back on in a moment. But you've really taken time there to explain about the importance of CPD and educational content. I mean, I completely agree with you that we've seen that from webinars we do, these podcasts, articles, that continuous professional development is really important to our readers and this audience. Now, you talked about the health and safety executive being a key part of that, delivering a morning conference. You've obviously got two theatres. I've got them in front of me. You've got the there's SHW Keynote Theatre and SHW Knowledge Exchange, which you'll be running for both days. But for those that haven't been to your website, which we'll obviously give the address in a bit, I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'm sure you'll know the answer. Could you just give us an idea of any sessions that are on there, the kind of content you're delivering? Obviously, you've touched on well-being now very much being on that agenda. So I presume it's much more than just well-being you'll be covering in those theatres.
Yeah, look, we're not losing sight here of the number one priorities. We've got to keep people alive. We've got to reduce injuries in the workplace. So when you look at that conference program, there are 26 sessions, the two theatres that you've already named for me, thank you, and around about 40 individual speakers, panelists, and knowledgeable experts. Thinking about the way that you'll deliver your magazines and your digital content, I've been quite careful this year to hold a very high editorial line. So the first task that I undertook earlier this year between February and May was to put together what I think of as the strongest advisory council I could hope to have on shows like these. I have 20 different advisors, most of whom I've worked with over many years. People who've run major organisations within the OSH market, organisations like the British Safety Council, NEBOSH, the International Institute of Risk and Safety Management, the British Occupational Hygiene Society. I'm just naming a few here, but they've all come together and they are contributing high-level but accessible content in 35 to 40-minute bite-sized sessions. We lead off on day one with Dame, I don't know why I want to call Baroness Dame, but Baroness Sarah Newton is leading off the conference programme with an opening address as a keynote from the Health and Safety Executive. Her HSE colleagues are then looking at a range of the really big topics, the ones that they consider, and this is the important point, it's not about what I consider to be most important, this is about HSE connecting with the occupational safety and health fraternity, and they're dealing with the major issues. They're going to talk to you about really getting to grips with and tackling respiratory disease and doing that sustainably. They're going to talk about work-related stress, and this is the key point, how that impacts on mental health. So that we're really going to learn, I think, and if you come to SHW Live in Manchester, you're going to get a really clear idea about HSE's view on work-related stress and how it impacts mental health. I think that's going to be fascinating. But there are topics, that just don't go away. Musculoskeletal disorders keep a lot of people off work, and HSE, again, will address that head on. Interestingly, we will also be one of the first, SHW Live Manchester in Manchester will be one of the first times that you'll be able to engage directly with the newly formed building safety regulator. So the new BSR, currently being formed, as you know, Mark, you know more about it than I suspect. But the team are coming to address our audience at midday on the 15th of February. And it'll be one of the first times that you'll be able to hear directly from BSR, from the building safety regulator, possibly one of the only times you'll hear from them early next year. So when you look at the programme as well, I mean, I could list all the sessions, I won't, but of course, we're looking at some of the key issues that have come out of the pandemic. We're looking at COVID-19, looking at crisis management and recovery. That's fascinating. Some of the stories that are coming out of how this wonderful profession kept the wheels turning, how manufacturing processes, how the construction industry kept moving in very large part because safety practitioners made that possible. And I think that's the best part about this, one of those silver linings, and I use that term very carefully, of the pandemic is that this profession is having its, and this is my phrase, it's having its moment in the sunshine. The respect for the profession, I think, is going through the roof. because the public now perhaps really understand what it means to be a safety and health practitioner, the contribution that your readership really makes. It's so much of it is unseen, right? The best measure of a good day at work for a safety manager, as many people have said to you, is when nothing happens. And I think that's something that what that means, the downside of that is you never hear about it. But actually we saw it. We saw that, whatever we needed in this country when we were all confined to our homes still kept moving. We still kept producing what we needed. And that was impossible without the work of occupational safety and health teams. And so, we're going to look back, we're going to look forward. Of course, there's going to be a lot of commentary about respiratory exposure. My partnership with the British Occupational Hygiene Society means we're going to look in some considerable detail at respiratory exposures, that those sort of unseen, invisible dangers, the things that cause long latency disease, the things that cause ill health and early death long after your career has ended. These are major issues. They have been for a long time, but SHW Live shines a spotlight on that. And you will hear, not from, just occasional commentators, you'll hear from the experts. And that's what I mean about holding a high editorial line with the conference sessions.
No, that makes sense. And, picking up on what you just said there, it's one of the reasons that you, myself, and Keith Gabriel, my now business partner, one of two, launched the Safety and Health Excellence Awards, is that recognising the great role that all of our listeners now and readers of the magazine do, a really key role that they do, and recognising that, as you said, sometimes the recognition of that is actually nothing happening. Zero incidents is the best recognition you can get, but there needs to be more recognition for that in the sector. That's why we've obviously and still do run the Safety and Health Excellence Awards. But before I get into how people can get in touch and how they can register, this is more than just a conference, more than just networking. It's a large scale event, obviously in Manchester in February and then subsequently in Farnborough. So exhibition plays a big part of this, and you've mentioned some of the partnerships that you've got for this event. So people that are coming to the event or might want to come to the event that are listening to this now, what brands can they see? Everything from your event partners to your founding partners to your exhibitors. Can you just give us a very quick flavour of the people who will be on site, showcasing products and offering advice and guidance?
Yeah, absolutely. When I put these shows together in the first instance, of course, I was going to think about great quality educational content and the opportunity to accelerate your CPD. That's an essential. But having run 55 shows over 15 years for the occupational safety and health sector, every time we run those shows, we've asked people what was good, bad, and indifferent. And the opportunity to engage with the major manufacturers is still a seriously important part of any trade show. So my task back in sort of April, May time was to engage with some of the major brands, so some of the market leaders. So when you look at the respiratory market, nobody, I think, has more market share than Moldex. Moldex were one of the first to sign up to support me in year one with both shows. When you look at the world of PPE, and we look at above the neck protection, we look at eyewear, Bolle Safety. They are undoubtedly the market leader for eye protection. I look at the world of evacuation, and when we think about the building safety regulator, we think about the reflections and response after the Grenfell disaster. We look at egress, about how to get people out of buildings quickly and safely, and Evac Chair, being the market leader in that market, we're keen to get on board very early on. There are perennial issues in the world of safety. We look at the construction world, we look at any type of buildings maintenance. Working at height is still an incredibly dangerous thing to do. Guardian Fall are the world's largest privately owned collection of fall prevention specialists, and they're on board as a founding partner. I mentioned earlier about respiratory exposure to dust and fume, those sort of substances hazardous to health, and Casella are the world's most preeminent manufacturer of the type of equipment you're going to need to monitor your environment. And they got on board very early on. But if you're leading a safety team, you know that training them, developing their careers is really, really important. So we're partnered with NEBOSH. We're working very closely with them, and they're helping us in terms of bringing in their learning partners. And one of our founding partners is RRC International, arguably the market leader in training and qualifications in the UK. So there are 6, and I've got Uni Gloves joined us in terms of hand protection. Just today, we signed an agreement with Port West. Massive success story in the provision of PPE and workplace clothing. What each of these founding partners has in common is their desire to reinstate regional shows. They've all done them before. They know how important they are. They know how important trade shows are to generating new sales leads and getting face-to-face connection, getting real networking done in a meaningful, measurable way. They know how important and how difficult it is to reach those audiences in the Northwest, specifically audiences in the Southeast, London, South Coast. They've helped me formulate the plan for SHW Live. They're influencing its direction, and they're playing their part. So when you, as an HSM reader, come to Manchester Central in February or to Farnborough International in September, rest assured you will be meeting the most influential, forward-thinking, innovative manufacturers of safety equipment that you could hope to meet. You will find the solutions to the problems that are raised and discussed in the conference programme. Beyond those founding partners, Mark, we've got well over 50 different brands already contracted and exhibiting at the Manchester show. You will meet between 70 and 80 different brands by February. The vast majority of those companies have equally signed up to exhibit at our show in September. So if that's more convenient for you as an HSM reader, if you're within an hour, hour and a half of that part of the world in the Southeast, then you will get your opportunity to come and engage with the SHW exhibitor base, and a completely fresh conference program for September. We'll reveal details on that around June time. So yeah, lots going on, fabulous brands, great opportunity to reconnect. And as an HSM reader, you won't just be invited to register and attend free of charge. You will also be invited to join a networking reception at the end of the first day of each show, so that if you haven't met with those exhibitors on their stand, you'll be able to come and enjoy a bit of downtime, hard-earned downtime, bit of genuine sort of enjoyable networking at the end of each of the first days of each show. And that will be something that we'll invite HSM readers to do.
Well, I know that obviously networking is a really important aspect for our listeners and our readers, and I know it's something that's very important to you as well. And certainly what you taught me when I worked for you was make sure that we get out there and network as much as we can. And as you say, with the brands you've got out there, please do go to the SHW Live website, which we'll give you in a moment. But, the brands there, I can see them in front of me now. Able Safety, Draeger, for example, Martor, Reactech, Safety Unlimited, Shore City, Milwaukee Tools. There's lots more than the Safety Knife Company. There's lots more that we could go over. So I think that really brings me to the concluding question, really, Tim. We've talked at length, and I can see how obviously excited you are about the first event, and it looms now on the 15th and 16th of February in 2022 at Manchester Central. But, for those that listen to this over the Christmas period and maybe just before the event itself, you've told them networking is important, you've told them about the high quality content, you've told them about the 70 odd leading brands that are going to be there. But I guess the question remains is, if they want to come for free now, and it is entirely free, how can they register to do so? Where should they go to do that?
Okay, so really important list. First of all, attending the show is free of charge. There's no ticket price to get in, but it's important that you spend 2 minutes filling in a registration form. I've tried to keep that quite simple. It's not an onerous task, but you need to go to safetyhealthwellbeing.live and click register. It is as simple as that. Once you've spent those 2 minutes telling me a little bit about what you do and who you work for, you will receive your digital badge, which you can print at home and bring to the show. We'll be very, very mindful of government regulations and restrictions such as they have been. We'll see where they are in February. But this is a key point I want to get across to you as well. I've chosen two of what I think are the very highest quality venues for these events. Manchester Central and Farnborough International have a number of things in common. They are both major award winners, the Association of Exhibition Organisers Awards and the Association of Exhibition Venues. They are members of the AEV. They are both fit-for-purpose designed venues that focus entirely on the visitor experience. They're extremely well ventilated, and I have contracted far more physical space at these shows than one might normally need for a trade show of this size, so that there will be lots of room, wide aisles, plenty of room between seats in the conference theatres, and obviously we will be providing hand sanitisation at every aisle and at the entrance to the shows. We'll reflect close to the time. There's a COVID-safe policy on the website you can access whilst you are registering to attend the show. We'll follow government guidance, but we intend to make this very easy. We will be mask friendly, so you should decide how you feel about that at a personal level, and we will make sure that your visitor experience is second to none. These venues are not the cheapest to hire, I would say, as a tenant, but I've used lots of different types of venues for these events over the years. I consider these two to be first class, and the organising teams behind them are completely dedicated to the visitor experience, and you'll really notice that when you come to Manchester and Farnborough in February and September.
Well, as we said, the website is www.safetyhealthwellbeing.live. If you haven't got that, which is safetyhealthwellbeing.live, just Google, put it in your Google machine and type Safety, Health and Wellbeing Live. It comes up on all search engines. There's Safety, Health and Wellbeing Live, and you can register completely for free. Well, Tim, it's been great catching up with you. It's somewhat surreal for me to be interviewing someone I used to work for, but I have done that before on this podcast with others. So, but great fun. So I wish you the best of luck for February and September next year.
Excellent. Thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing HSM readers in February.
And that's all we've got time for in this edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast. I'd like to thank all of you for taking time to listen to this. And if you'd like to see all the latest news, prosecutions, products and services, go back through our archive of webinars, as I said before, just go to our website, www.hsmsearch.com. You can sign up to get our twice a weekly newsletter, or you can, of course, go back to our past webinars, or you can sign up to get a copy of Health and Safety Matters magazine. So it'd be remiss of me also not to say thank you again for a fantastic year of support from the Health and Safety event, which is the sponsors of this podcast. We love our partnership with 19 Group, and we're very proud to be putting on content at the Health and Safety event, which takes place on the 5th to 7th of April at the NEC in Birmingham. It's an event not to be missed, and it's co-located with the Fire Safety event, the New Workplace event, and the Security event. Register for that event at healthandsafetyevent.com, and you can access all of those events with a single registration. Loads of content on, huge number of exhibitors, an event not to be missed at the NEC in Birmingham on the 5th to 7th of April 2022. As I said, just register at the healthandsafetyevent.com. So as I said, all that's left for me to say is thank you to all of you so much for your support this year. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast and the podcasts this year. And if you're listening to this before Christmas, I hope you have a fantastic Christmas and a fantastic and prosperous new year. And we will be back in January with the next edition of the Health and Safety Matters podcast.